What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Space Engineers. When we left off in the last episode, we drove around forever and finally found ice. We got a big lake of ice, so it should tide us over for quite a bit. As you can see right over there, I've already kind of started to mine up some, and I put most of it, or all of it, rather, in the storage container. I got about almost 10k, a little over 9. So that should tide us over for a bit. However, I think I brought it up in my last episode, I'm not really sure, but I don't actually have a O2H2 generator, so that could be a problem. A couple of things though. The good news is that we do have a basic refinery and we do have a conveyor system set up for the refinery and stuff as well. So, I also got a little bit of stone. I can also mine stone by hand to get what we need in order to build an O2H2, I think. Let me actually double check that. I don't remember what they require. This is a large... Yeah, so the steel plates are probably going to be the only real bottleneck there. But I'm pretty sure that we should have enough, like we can get all that from stone is basically the long and the short of it. Now there's a couple of things. First of all, let me preface this. I mentioned this in my last inspiration episode, but I am still playing around with the sound settings because when I've been doing editing stuff, I haven't been happy with it. As well as last episode, you guys noticed that I was having to really control the sound when I was driving the Turtle Rover because the wheel sound was getting way too strong and it was drowning everything else out and getting really loud. So in an effort to try and combat that a little bit, I tweaked my microphone settings a little bit, but I also lowered the game sounds so that little things like footsteps you may not hear as much, but when I'm doing drilling or something like this, it shouldn't be like blaring in your ears kind of thing, hopefully. But like I said, some of it is conducive on my headset and things like that. I'm used to my setup, so it sounds okay to me. It may not to you. So if you hear anything that's kind of off or something's too loud, too soft, whatever, let me know and I will try and compensate for it. Though do keep in mind that if you're watching this on YouTube, this is a week-old episode for me, so I may only be getting your feedback a little bit delayed. But yeah, I'm still trying to play around with that and get it balanced out just right, to where you can still hear what's going on, but it's not overpowering and I'm not blaring in your ears either. With that, I think this episode is going to be getting an O2H2 generator up and running on the ship, which I'm not sure where to put it. I've got a few places that it could go. Looks like it's starting to get evening time. I even thought about replacing the gyroscope, but I'm probably going to want that eventually for just ease of use. But yeah, so it could go here or something. There's also some places along the bottom, but I have to check the conveyor ports and things to see where I can connect it up and how that block connects up, because oh, I've got one right in my inventory. Yeah. Alright, so we've got, it looks like one on the bottom and two on the top, or two on the side and one on the top. Okay, so the only thing I can't do is directly on the back or the front or something, whatever those two sides are. They might be the sides, I'm not sure. But as long as the conveyor ports... Okay, so I've got one on the top, one on the bottom, and two on the side. So there's a few places like in here where... like this is a small cargo container, so I could rip out these two blocks here, and then that should, in theory, allow me to plug in... Actually, I could put it to where one of the ports is facing this way and one of the ports is facing that way. That should work. The only hard part is accessing it at that point. A couple of people mentioned, like, replacing something with a storage container so that I could access things. The thing that I found is the cockpit is set up through a large port as well. So I actually can get to everything for the most part. I mean, these containers aren't completed, but I should be able to get to everything on the ship through the cockpit. The other nice thing about that setup is if the O2H2 generator was in here and plugged in, if you took this to space, when you sat in the cockpit, it should refill your oxygen at least. I believe it should refill your hydrogen as well, but I'm not sure. So yeah, there's that. The other thing that was a neat idea someone mentioned, and I'll have to look into, is to put a sensor block somewhere that detects when you're close to the stairway, and when you are, have the vehicle lower, and then once you, like, say, get past this point, like maybe halfway through here, have it readjust to a certain height. And I mentioned that in a script form, but I've got programmer at heart, so I naturally gravitate towards scripts for everything. But it's not a bad idea to do that way, so I may look into that, because there are a few blocks. I think that's a full block. There are a few blocks that I may be able to replace with timer blocks and things as well. So with that's going to be the overall goal for the episode, I think, is to get the O2H2 generator up and running and figure out how to do it. So let me do some grind work, literally. I've got to get some more materials and stuff going. And then I will see how far we can go. I will see you in a moment. Okay, so it's a little bit later. Unfortunately, I might have to play around with the day-night cycle a little bit, because I don't really like recording at night because it's so dark and hard for you guys to see. But at the same time, it stays dark a long time. I think it's like the day-night cycle's up for 2 hours or something. I did it that way so that when it was daytime, it would be daytime longer, but unlike something like, I think the game I was thinking of was like Conan Exiles, where you could adjust the day and the night separately, Space Engineers is just day and night, so I may have to cheat a little bit every now and again and go into my admin settings and just make it day when I'm going to record if it's still night, because I can't sit around and wait for this to turn day. Anyway, we do have an O2H2 generator now. You can kind of see it in here. And I don't know if, yeah, there it is, right there, under the gyroscope. I did replace the gyroscope, although it was never completed to begin with. I did kind of want it to be back there in its spot. I tried a couple other spots, like I tried here. The only problem was the connectors are like, they're this way, or they're this way, but you can't, or if you rotate them, they can go this way, but there's no, like on the conveyors where you can do horizontal and vertical at the same time, which caused a problem. And then I looked into certain other spots here, ran into the same thing, and I was like, no, it's got to go over here. I tried at first to just break this and see if the gyroscope would stay. It did not. So I went back and fixed it. The weird part is I broke these catwalks to get in here to build this, and yet somehow I did not get back what I put into them, and I found that to be a bit odd, because I couldn't just replace them right away, which was weird. But, you know, I digress. The one thing that I'm noticing at this point is this rover is pretty functional. Like, even in terms of power, right now we're not moving, so if I was stationary just doing the, materials, refineries, and everywhere, it says I've got 4 days of power, and that was just from driving around with the solar panels on for a bit. So it seems to be holding up pretty well. It'll refine stuff, it'll assemble things. Obviously we don't have a full assembler on it, so it's a temporary setup. But the thing that concerns me is gathering materials. That's really slowing us down right now. We did okay with the drill, but the drill platform at the home base, but that basically built us our mobile base. So at this point, I need a drilling ship, I think. So the question is going to be, how much does that ship, material-wise, going to cost? So this one's going to be pretty ugly. I'm going to try and do a function over form one and see how minimal I can make the materials. Now, I do have another idea in mind for a later build, but I want to get a basic one going right off the bat, and something that can fly so we can use these connectors. I think I can do that with the Atmo thrusters. I don't believe... Oh, they do require metal grids. Crap. Alright, well, that needs cobalt. Freaking metal grids, man. They hold me up every time. I think they need cobalt anyway. Let me check. Their assembler. Yep, they need cobalt. Dagnabbit. Alright, well, I might have to make a small grid rover then? Maybe? I don't know how to do it. What I guess I could do is invert that connector, maybe. What's under here? I think I could. Now that I think about it, I could take that connector and these two conveyors, flip... Actually... Crap. No, that won't work. I was trying to figure out a way to do a recessed connector, but I don't think that'll work. Unless... Man, I'm gonna have to make some changes here. And I don't even think that'll work. Dagnabbit. Alright, well that may not function correctly then. I was thinking of maybe rerouting the conveyors or something, but everything that I'm doing, the connector's always going to stick out below the ground level, which I didn't want to do. So, I'm not sure how I want to do that. See, that one gave it back to me. Why did the other one did I not complete the other one, maybe? Maybe this one was never finished? I don't know. It's really odd. Dang, I wish I didn't need cobalt, unless I could find cobalt. But I don't even know... Oh, wait a minute. Idea. How much is an ore detector? I don't know about the display. Oh, we do have silicon. Okay, so I could make an ore detector. Where would I put it? I could take the gyroscope out again. How big is an ore detector? These are things that I had not thought about. So it looks like a 2-block. Alright, I'm gonna fiddle fart around with this a little bit and see if we can't get an ore detector in here to figure out where some more stuff is. And see what we can come up with. So give me a minute and I'm gonna do a bit more testing. Well, that was simultaneously both successful and unsuccessful. We have successfully built a ore detector, which is right in here. There it is. It's hard to pick it up, but it's complete because I realized that all I had to do was put the O2H2 generator in here. I took out one of the conveyors and one of the conveyor tubes because this was just a straight shot and this was horizontal. So I just plugged the ports that way and went this way with the top ones, and it linked up the same way, but actually had functionality. I really probably should have paid a little more attention to some of the ports on some of these, because I probably could have done the same thing in other places, but oh well. We have the gyroscope back, and I recalibrated all of the menu items and stuff in here to account for it. Now the problem is the ore detector broadcasts through an antenna, apparently, that I forgot about. Right here, broadcast. Well, I wonder if I turn that off, what happens? I also don't know how much power this uses, but let's crank this distance all the way up. Well, it is detecting ice. Alright, let me try something. If I put the ore detector here, and I turn that off. Okay, so that is the ore detector. Alright, so it's not a total goof up. Alright. Okay, now the only bad part is it's saying we only have 5 hours of power left. Why? I'm not really sure. It said 4 days a minute ago, or a while ago. Maybe because something is doing stuff. Let's turn the assembler and refinery off. What else can we turn off? That doesn't need to be on right now. Ore detector will do its own thing. That's not probably drawing power, but we'll turn it off anyway. Survival kit we'll leave on just in case we blow up or something, or get killed. I kind of want my respawn point there. So now what's it saying? 4 days. Okay, so it's the O2H2 generator that's pulling a ton of power. Okay, so The home base is 23 kilometers, which is 23,000 meters, and the O2 detector can go up to 150 meters, so it's basically like 150 feet in front of me. Not the best thing, probably why broadcasting through the antenna works better, though that may just be that it pings to different antennas. I'm not really sure how antennas work all that much. I never really use them. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a backup save right about here, and then I think I'm gonna turn the ore detector on and just drive around a little bit in this lake and see if I can find anything like out towards the edge, if it picks anything up. If it doesn't, I have another plan that I'm gonna try, but I don't know if I'll be able to get to it in this episode or not, so we'll see how this first plan works and then go from there. Well, we found Cobalt. It took me a minute, but I did actually find it, and we're not actually... Where's the ice lake? Ice lake. We're only about 2 kilometers away from the ice lake, so we didn't actually have to go too far. I did have to leave. I drove around on the ice and found... Actually, there was a decent amount of stuff in the ice lake. There was like some silver, gold, magnesium, nickel, silicon, stuff like that. So it has some decent stuff, but I could not find any cobalt. And I was like, well, I don't know how long I'm going to drive around looking for cobalt, but I actually found a good chunk right here. I mean, we've been dropping about 4 to 5K of stone every inventory run, and I got about 5 of just cobalt. Now, I don't know as far as refining speed, because obviously stone goes wicked fast, but I feel like I remember different ores refined at different speeds, which is why you put like the speed upgrades on them and stuff. I mean, this part's going pretty quick, but this part is not. Like, we're not using much cobalt to get the little bits here. Now, we only need 1 for a metal grid, so for thrusters we need 10 cobalt. And I don't know number-wise how much... It looks like we had about... I think we had about 0.06 before. You guys can correct me if I'm incorrect, but I think we had about 0.06. So I'm guessing you're getting about 2 cobalt per 0.01 of... which would be something like 100... or something, or 100 grams or something like that. I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's interesting. That's interesting. So with this amount, I mean, we just got 5K from like one. All I did here was I kind of figured, why should I waste the stone? Since we're going to need materials anyway. So I did dig straight down, but mainly because I know the ice lake is only a couple kilometers away and I could go gather more ice if I needed to, and we've got a pretty decent stockpile of it in the hydrogen generator right now. So I'm not too concerned about the jetpack use at this point. We've got a great supply of ice. I mean, that's going to last us a long time, and we've got a useful... Like, we're doing good. We're doing good. We got ice, we have cobalt. So far, that's really the only bottlenecks that I've run into is cobalt and ice, because ice keeps you flying around. Cobalt is more advanced stuff beyond silicon, nickel, and iron. There may be some later stuff that's going to cause a problem that we'll need to find, but for now, to get a drilling ship going, that should be enough. So I just figured, what the heck, I just dug straight down. I did about 2 or 3 runs of full inventory for stone, and again, I do have my inventory maxed out just because this is a Let's Play and not a personal playthrough, so I kind of wanted to be able to not have to do quite so much back and forth because it's going to be off camera anyway. I don't really feel like that's cheating, you're just saving yourself a trip, basically. So, that was about half an inventory, give or take, of cobalt, and that's probably the benefit of actually finding nodes, because essentially where we're normally getting 5K of stone, and it does a mix of different things per stone, you know, we got raw resources out of that, so that's probably a lot better ratio and why you want to find nodes, so that's good. But with the Cobalt, I'm going to let this refine down a bit more, and I'm thinking we probably need a minimum of... I'm honestly thinking a minimum of like 8 thrusters for... well, no, probably minimum would be 12, I think. 10 to 12. Because I'm thinking 4 vertical to keep us up in the air. We don't really need downward because we're going to be an atmospheric drilling rig. I'm thinking 2 lateral on the left and 2 lateral on the right. So that's 4. And then 2 in the front and 2 in the back. So that's another 4. So, you know, 3 4 is 12. So I'm thinking 12. So with that, if they're 10 Cobalt apiece for the small grid ones, which I'm thinking of doing, or I'm thinking a small grid just to make things a little bit easier on resources. We should need like 120, give or take. And with this amount of Cobalt and that node right there, it should be no problem. It's just a matter of time. So I think that's going to be a project for next episode. I apologize that we didn't get quite as much done as I wanted. But we are set up now to get a drilling rig going, and it'll also give me some time off camera to go into creative and design a small rig that I want to use. I'm going to keep it very bare bones. I may not even do any connective protection armor or anything. It may just be all components that are connected together. I'm not entirely sure. But with that, I think we're going to wrap things up here for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.